You are told if you want people to buy your products, this is how you have to do it. And these are the specific words or statements or sentences, or this is the dictionary. You even read books, Think and Grow Rich. They suggested so many books that will help you and enrich you in learning the right vocabularies, in learning the right words, in learning the right coordinates on how to travel, on how to read map, on how to read and know whether the car, on how to understanding the market, on how to understand the people around your area. But now the problem, no one who ever taught you, how do you get to learn a wife? How do you get to learn a husband? Even when you say that you are dating was just for luxury. So that you get free sex, also that you get free kisses, you get free makeouts, or you walk around with dignity, pride that you are dating someone from somewhere, or so that you don't feel lonely. But it was never taught to cultivate long-lasting relationships. And that's why most of you, if I ask you why did you part with your ex, most of you don't have clear answer. And those who have clear ones, you realize that it was an issue of knowledge and an issue of not studying who is this person first before even I said that I love them. But to most people, you say, I never felt loved. He took me for granted. Those will be the most answers. But you see, when we come to relationships, how many of you, you've been using words, you've been using books, but how many of you have ever been intentionally said, I'm going to take 1 year, I'm going to take 2 months and learn how to communicate in this specific area? Most of you learn how to communicate to your teachers. There are things we know you cannot talk to our bosses. There are things we know you cannot talk to a policeman, to a military, to an authority in a church. But there are so many things we can speak or not speak when we are supposed to speak or when we are not supposed to speak towards our spouses. Why? Because no one who ever taught us that these things you don't speak them, or that these things are supposed to be spoken. That's why the other day I was studying saying, you find your colleagues, they know much more about you than what your husband or your wife know about you. The men who you share some drinks somewhere or some meals somewhere, they know more about what you feel and your feelings more than your spouse. And carefully, not always because your spouse cannot be able to understand you, but simply because you denied them that chance. So it's a hard time that we started to understand that the same way I learned the language of money, I learned the language of how to invest and be able to harvest money. How I go in the garden and plant. How I do insurance investments. That also it is the same thing I have to start to do in my marriage setup. We need to come to communication. Today you might read a book, maybe about parenting and you have no children. It's okay. Read it. One day you wake up and you realize that you needed to know how to be a father. You needed to know how to be a mother. Most of us, the problem is that we think marriage, we are going to sit down, or at least that's how we were taught, consciously or subconsciously, that you will just wake up and then marriage will be okay and it will be all right. Have you ever seen how people fight during their preparation of wedding? Why do you think they do? They fight about colors, they fight about shoes, they fight almost everything. I agree. Families, sometimes they intrude into that preparation beyond how they have been allowed to participate. By the way, families, please, always ask, what are our boundaries in this preparation? And that is a principle to every person, but specifically this I'm passing out to families. Know your lane and don't go beyond it. Even if you know that you know better than they do, it's okay. It's their wedding. Give advices, but don't give them so that those adverts can be done. No, they still have the right to say no. It applies to friends, it applies to churches, that is to fellowships, local fellowships, and to colleagues and everyone. Please, when you are supporting people in their wedding anniversary, their wedding day, their birthday, and all of those stuff, avoid to go beyond your boundaries. But even you, the couple, you must agree on how much will these people participate in your life. Do you only need their money and that is it? Yes. Then make it clear to them. Say for us, we've planned everything. The only thing we need is only funds. That is it. Not to come. No, if you are giving your money, then you must change the venue. Stay with your money. It's as simple as that. One of the things that you must know if you need to be a good communicator in this world we live in, you must have boundaries. In how people get in your life, but also in how you get in other people's lives. You must have boundaries. Failure to articulate what your boundaries are as a couple, people will trend on you. People will misuse you. People will trash you. There are some hugs you should say, these only belong to my husband. It's a boundary. There are some conversation, if another opposite sex gender starts them, you are like, no. If you want to discuss that, I know we are friends, but I can suggest my husband to talk to you or my wife to talk to you. Or wait until my husband arrives here. These are very important things. It's part of communication. Communication has a boundary within. But now since we are talking about in a marriage setup, how many intentional books have you read? In fact, how many books even that you know that exist that talks about even marriage? And how authentic are those books? But you've read about Che Guevara, you've read about Museveni, you've read about Trump, you've read about all the people who never even affect you directly, including some people even who are dead. But your wife that you are going to live with forever, you only use the words you picked in Netflix, others you picked in with your friend while you are taking bath before you got saved. Others you just heard them when you are supporting your club team. Others you read them on Facebook. And then you just come and you apply them there. And you expect your wife to fling and to sparkle and just stripe herself and give you sex. Listen, that takes you to know your spouse. You must know your spouse. And also beyond that, you must know what is the right word to use and what are the wrong words to use. Let's put it this way. There is me knowing a blueprint of a house, architecture. But there is me knowing what kind of material that are needed to build the house. Now, if I need a completed strong house, which will dwell, and which people will use without collapsing, which will withstand the storms of the weather, I need two things. Not one, two things. They are beyond being twins. They are one is the meaning of each other. It is the same way without blood I cannot live. But also without meat and bones, I cannot live. So I need the both. Let's put it this way. Blueprint, the picture, the architecture picture that you need to build a house, it is a must. I don't care how much your material are good and the best. You must have that. When the people of Babylon built, they said, this Tower of Babel we are building, we want it to reach somewhere. And even the Bible articulates what kind of material they used. It is only you in the church where you just build marriage without any vision. Other people, they don't do that. Even you, an architect who knows that, it is a shame that you can still, and this also goes to any person, you know where you want, you know what kind of salary you want, you know what kind of achievement you want, but when it comes to your marriage, you don't know that the part of material you have to use in your marriage, it's communication. Effective communication. Intentional. The same way you read the newspaper to know what your nation is doing, who is doing this and who is doing that. The same way you do that, it's the same way you ought to sit down and know what are the new bras that are coming on market, and what are the favorites of my wife, what are the boxers that are coming on market. You have to know this stuff. I'm using just the simple things ever you can ever think of to use. Until you reach there, you are going to continue to suffocate your marriage. And if your marriage is made to serve God effectively, then it won't. A marriage must be healthy, effective, for it to serve God effectively. For me to serve God, my body must be healthy. We talk about health, we talk about I can be able to wake up. I'm not sleepy. I can be able to move my joints, can be able to work. Failure to have all of those things, then it won't happen. I might have the zeal to serve him. I might want to serve him, but I'll never serve him effectively.